Call the meeting to order. Mr. Buno will not be here tonight. Mrs. Curtin will not be here tonight. And Mrs. Taylor is going to be late. So if we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Student Council. We have anybody from Student Council? They can't make it tonight, okay. We have no approval of draft minutes. So we will move right into board forum. We'll start with Deanna. Good, Frank? With that, I'm good as well. Public forum. Residents, students, employees, and business representatives of the East Greenbush Central School District may address the board on matters concerning programs and/or operations of the district, other than matters involving personnel. Members of the board do not directly respond to citizen concerns during the public forum. If a response is appropriate, either the president or the superintendent will contact the individual in the near future. Those persons wishing to address the board will be recognized by the chair of the meeting and should state for the record their name and address or affiliation with the district or business. While the board does not wish to infringe upon free speech protections, it must be stressed that the visitors forum is not deemed an open forum. The board president will conduct the forum for the orderly and efficient operation of board business. In addition, any remarks which may be considered defamatory or stigmatizing are prohibited and will be declared out of order. All comments shall be limited to 5 minutes, please. Is there anybody that wishes to address the board? Do we have emails? Oh, no emails no more, right? Okay. Okay, with none, reports and presentations.
I have no formal reports. I'll talk about the school opening progress during the discussion items.
Okay. School update. Mr. Simons?
Yes, so I want to take the opportunity this evening to update the board and the community, including those community members who may be watching the meeting via the stream, about the progress on our school opening. We are entering into October now, and I want to first and foremost congratulate all of our students, our parents, and our faculty and staff on continuing to offer our students great educational experience during very challenging times. I'm particularly impressed by the work that everybody is doing, not only to support the protocols, but to normalize as much as we can some of our school activities, both those activities that are occurring in the classroom, but also some of the extracurricular activities that we're continuing to be able to offer our community. I did want to report to the board and the community generally about how things were going with some of our new initiatives. I've asked Mr. McHugh to work with our administrative team and some of our key teachers that are involved in these initiatives to give a more formal report at the November board meeting. We have spoken a little bit about the early intervention program that we have created. The board supported the hiring of 10 early intervention specialists. Through the work of Mr. McHugh, our building principals, and Lisa Mahar, as well as all of our teachers at the elementary school level, including the new intervention specialists. That program is up and running. The students have been scheduled in each building to receive the additional academic intervention services in both reading and math. And as Mr. McHugh pointed out to me, it's the first time in many years that we are using data to determine the staffing assignments in our buildings for AIS. So that program's in place. I shared with the board the data on the initial assessment information that came from the Renaissance assessment. Teachers are now looking at that information and providing the services, and we hope to give frequent updates to the board on the progress of the students. Checked in with the high school administration today. The Learning Resource Center at the high school, which we added some staff to, has been being utilized primarily for math support. We also have support for English. We're seeing more heavily utilization for math, and that's a good thing. Additionally, I asked each of our respective principals who have children who are their homeschool children attending the Virtual Learning Academy at Questar. This is the remote academy that's being offered for those families that received approval for a medical reason. And our principals are in the process of checking in with those families. We have students in the high school at Belltop and Green Meadow, and our principals are reaching out to the families to make sure everything is going okay for those children. We have 9 children in that program. Additionally, I'm pleased tonight to ask the board to appoint 4 new bus drivers. Each of the 4 bus drivers we shared information with you last week were scheduled for their tests. Each of those bus drivers has passed. Is that correct, Mr. Noeth? And we now have 4 drivers that we can add to the road. And we know that there's going to be a little bit of an orientation with them working with existing drivers, but we're very pleased to be able to announce the addition of 4 bus drivers. Some of the challenges we're having, we recognize that for many of our students and our families that the quarantining has been impacting the children's ability to be able to participate in in-person instruction. As of today, the number of students that are currently on quarantine is reduced significantly. There was an incident last week or the week before it, which caused a large number of middle school students to be quarantined because of the bus. Those students have been released. They're back in class. We do have some students at DPS, Red Mill, and the high school that are still under quarantine, but we're monitoring that daily, and we're making sure that the tutoring is being arranged and put in place. Another challenge for our nurses and for our families and students is the requirements of New York State related to symptomatic students. And we understand that that requirement is difficult for everyone. When children come to school and they're indicating any one of the 9 symptoms of COVID-19, our nurses are following the direction and our administrators are following the direction of New York State that those children have to be sent home. They have to receive either a negative COVID test or an alternative diagnosis. They also need to be mindful of the resolution of symptoms getting better and to be fever-free for at least 24 hours without fever-reducing medication. I just want to emphasize that that's a state requirement, and we are looking for ways together with the counties and with other districts to try to mitigate the impact of some of this on our ability of our students to have in-person instruction. At the county level, some of the county departments of health are talking together with each other and with superintendents about the potential to modify some of the quarantine requirements, and we support that. So right now, if a student is identified as a contact on a bus, they have to be quarantined for 10 days if they're unvaccinated, and all of our elementary children are unvaccinated. Some of the options that are being discussed, not approved as of yet, are to shorten the quarantine period from 10 days to 7 days, or to permit students to come back to school if they test every day. So in other words, if they were identified as a close contact, they could still come to school, but they would have to be COVID tested every day. Additionally, we are looking at advocating for some of the changes to the distancing requirement for contact tracing on a bus. None of these options have been approved. Conversations started in Saratoga County between the superintendents in Saratoga County, which I interact with through the suburban council meetings. Albany County has been discussing it, and we discussed it today with Rensselaer County. And Mary Fran Wakunis, our director, indicated that the county officials were talking about this as well. So maybe those ideas will gain some support, and maybe we could see some changes to the quarantine requirements. Also received an email from the State Council of School Superintendents today indicating advocacy for the same measures. Other things that are going on, we are still preparing for the testing implementation. Was informed by Craig Hansen that it may not be until the end of October, early November, that we receive both the supplies that we need for the antigen tests, as well as the machines that we will be able to use in each of our schools to do the point of care testing. The point of care testing is designed to be administered for those students who are symptomatic. It could potentially reduce the number of days that students are out of school. And we have to have conversations with our nurses about how we would implement that requirement. But those supplies and equipment are not available yet. We will be sending home a consent form for parents to be prepared to understand the number of students that we may be involving in surveillance testing. The requirement is that we offer it to our families of students that are unvaccinated, but we are open to testing other students who may be vaccinated whose parents request that based on the consent. So a letter will be coming home on Friday with a form so that we can get an idea of how many parents would consent to this. Also want to highlight a special event that we're having next week at Green Meadow. Board members and many members of the community should have received an invitation to our Blue Ribbon celebration. I know Mr. Garib is looking forward to that. He has been planning that with his team, along with Mrs. Wager assisting, and it should be a nice outdoor event, very festive, complete with fireworks, music, and other activities to celebrate the national recognition that one of our schools, Green Meadow, has received as a Blue Ribbon school. Additionally, there are a lot of positive things happening in curriculum and professional development, and we plan to schedule some of these reports to focus on those kinds of things that our teachers and our administrators are still doing to offer a high-quality education as we deal with COVID in the background. The other thing I want to just briefly mention, while rankings aren't always indicators of the entire story in a school district, I was very pleased to read a report in the Times-Union that the ranking of the East Greenbush School District continues to increase. We are considered to be fifth based on standardized measures in the capital region among more than 80 districts. So I want to thank everybody, students, parents, faculty, and staff, and the Board of Education in particular for continuing to support the achievement emphasis within our schools. And that concludes my update.
Thank you, Jeff. Pre-K update.
Turn that over to Mrs. Wager.
Thank you. Last night, we had our pre-K lottery selection. We had 98 applications. Subsequent to that, we had one withdrawal, and the applications included 3 sets of twins, which we included as one if we picked that number. So today, we had 12 people attend in person. We did record the lottery selection. And I would like to thank Michael Wolf, Michael Wolf Advisory Services is our internal auditor, and he assisted us, as well as Helen Scolacci, Jeannie Pangburn, Stephanie Jorgensen, Peter Goodwin, and Wayne Morrow. Today, Jeannie actually started to contact all of the families to indicate their acceptance into the program and to confirm their participation. We have selected all of the, we have a sequential order so that if there is a withdrawal subsequent to today, we will continue down the waiting list. I have also been informed by Quest R3 that they hired 2 teachers and 2 teaching assistants, which will be approved on October 7th, but they are able to start on October 12th. So we will be able to meet our goal date of starting pre-K program on October 18th. We also have ordered supplies, furniture, and those things are starting to come in. And this Thursday, we have an inspection by Quest R3 of the rooms. So I think we are in good shape and ready to go.
Thank you, Linda.
Mr. Mann, can I just ask Mrs. Wager a question?
Absolutely.
We've had some conversations about people possibly donating items that are appropriate for pre-K. Are we still in need of, I know often we have kids who've aged out, but we still have that really nice kitchen set that they got for Christmas several years ago, and now they're 17 years old and it's still in our basement. Do we have the need for those kinds of items?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Simons. We'll take that now. But yeah. Yes, actually, I did send an email out to the elementary principals, and I know 1 or 2 of them have reached out to parents as well. And we are looking for gently used preschool equipment or supplies. And if you have anything of that nature, you can contact my office. You can contact Jeannie Pamburn, our district clerk, and we will be happy to accept those donations, and we'll take care of cleaning and disinfecting and getting them ready for use.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's cleaning out his basement.
Unfortunately, I already got rid of mine when I moved here.
I was thinking you.
I wish I hadn't now, though.
Anybody have any questions on the school update or the pre-K planning? Mr. Dund.
Just one question, Jeff. We were talking about reducing the spacing on buses and that advocacy. In our experience, have we had any cases of COVID that have occurred from the school bus from within that contact tracing?
No.
Thank you.
Anybody else? No? All right. Under regular business, approval of programs for resident children with disabilities. Resolved upon the recommendation of the superintendent, the Board of Education, of East Greenbush Central School District hereby approves the programs for resident children with disabilities. I will need a motion. Frank? John? All in favor? Thank you. Next is the transportation contact with Amazing Grace Transportation. Somebody want to, Linda?
Sure. We have a student that attends the Airline Drive Academy in Latham that has transferred into our district. And so we are unable at this time to provide transportation to the school in the morning. So education law allows us to contract with a private contracting company for that transportation. Our transportation department is able to transport the student in the afternoon. The Airline Drive Academy is part of a BOCES program, so the district is working to try to transfer this student to our George Washington location within the district. We just haven't gotten there yet.
Thank you. So with that, I will need a motion to approve that as well. Michelle? Deanna? All in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. And we will move on to committee reports, and we will start with our Director of Human Resources, Marissa.
Thank you. We had a special grants committee meeting, and Dan Shear is one of our elementary school teachers at Janae. He was originally approved for a $300 special grant for Set the Stage to Engage at the May 26, 2021 Board of Education meeting. Unfortunately, Dan was contacted and informed that this program is no longer running and being offered. So he submitted a new special grant proposal to our committee to attend the workshop, Adventure in the Classroom, Integrating SEL and Content Instruction. That workshop will be held on December 2nd and December 3rd. The Special Grants Committee met to review his proposal, and we are recommending a grant award. The total cost is $1,027.26. That includes the cost of the workshop, the cost of the substitute, and his mileage reimbursement. The activities in that workshop really focus on social emotional learning, strengthening the outcomes for students, and promoting ways to create a positive school culture. And this is on the consent agenda for tonight if anyone has any questions.
Thank you. Linda?
Thank you. The Finance and Audit Committee meeting took place on Thursday, September 29th. Our guests included Alan Walter from Bonadillo Group and Company, as well as Michael Wolf from Michael Wolf Advisory Services. At the meeting, we reviewed the draft financial statements for the year ending June 30th, 2021, which will be presented to the board on October 20th. We reviewed the required communications letter as well as the district financial statements and the extra classroom financial statements. As I said, we'll get into this, review it in more detail on October 20th, but I did want to mention that both the district financial statements and the extra classroom financial statements received an unmodified opinion, which is the highest level of insurance. Michael Wolf, our internal auditor, he reviewed his reports and his audits. He has completed the 2021 risk assessment report, and he will be issuing that report soon. He is currently auditing the extra classroom and a payroll audit, and he has yet to audit separation payments in the Education Foundation. So those are reports that you will see forthcoming, but as I said, we will discuss the independent audit at the October 20th meeting.
Thank you. Mr. McHugh? Mr. Simons?
I have no committee reports.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Marissa or Linda? Okay. I don't believe we have any tabled motions at this time. Old business, any board members have any old business they would like to discuss? With none, we'll move on to the consent agenda. And there are two addendums, 14A and 14B, which I believe we can combine into the consent agenda. We don't need a separate vote on those, right?
No.
All
One
right,
vote.
so I will need a motion to accept the consent agenda A through F and then 14A and B. John, Frank, all those in favor? Opposed? Carried. Thank you. New business. Any board members have any new business? Is there anybody in the public forum that would like to speak? Moving right along. Board forum number 2. Do we have an executive session?
We do not.
There is no need for an executive session tonight. I will need a motion to adjourn. Frank? Michelle? All in favor? Thank you, everybody, for coming.